Okay, greetings guitar lovers around the world, and mainly in America. People who've been watching the Terra Firma guitar channel. I wanted to show you this beautiful guitar tonight, and it's called Tasman. And the model is the TA200D-E. So the Tasman 200D for Dreadnought, E for electric. And Tasman, Abel Tasman was an explorer who explored around Tasmania and the south coast of Australia in a little boat. And so the Tasman Guitar Company is Australian, and they've had these guitars made in China. And there are 3 series in the Tasman range. There's the 100 series, the 200 series, and the 300 series. So this is from the 200 series, and they have a solid Sitka spruce top, and they've got a rosewood laminate back and sides. This has got a very dark rosewood, which it's not my favourite. I love to see a bit of grain, but it's maybe it's got a dark stain, I don't know. But the inside of the guitar, which you don't see in this light, you can see it's got very nice rosewood. So the veneer is good on both sides. So I guess you're getting the rosewood sound, and the spruce top, beautiful sunburst finish on it. Didn't come with a pickguard, I added the pickguard. And look, the other nice thing about these guitars, I think, or different, is if they've got this vintage kind of square bridge, which is what you see in more like a Triple O or the smaller Martin style guitars. But they put this on all of their guitars, including their Dreadnoughts. And this is called the slope shoulder Dreadnought, right? And normally when you copy a Gibson slope shoulder, usually the body is a little bit shallower than a standard Martin type Dreadnought, and the scale length is also 24.9. Now this, on the other hand, has it even longer than a normal Martin scale length. It's actually 25.5 inch, so it's a big scale, more like a guild. And the other thing is it's got this deep body, and so it really is a big guitar. It's as big as a big Dreadnought. So just the first drum. It's just got that big bottom end. And it's like you can hear the size of that body, and it produces that extra. The bottom end is distended, it's hanging down off the sound scale, which is what these guitars were designed to do. And the other thing I'll say about this guitar is you pick it up out of the case and it feels lighter than a lot of guitars out there. It's certainly lighter than the Eastmans I own, and it is a very resonant guitar. And it's got a big capacious sound, and so it's just people tend to love the Dreadnoughts, but really they're specialised guitar for creating that big bass, and they're designed to add that bottom end. Okay, so this has got a pickup, and it's a Fishman. So you've got the 2 sound controls here, and the other thing I liked about this guitar was when I plugged it in, it sounds great. And these Fishmans, they vary from guitar to guitar, but it sounded very big. So in the same way I think this guitar is lightly built, that is conveyed through the pickup. It's a big, spacious sounding guitar. Now the other reason I think it is that is, unlike, once again, the Eastmans I own, who have what I'd say are conservatively braced, which means the X brace is actually sort of further down the body of the guitar. The X brace on this guitar is right at the front, so it's got what they call a forward shifted brace. So it's another reason why it's got such a big, capacious sound. Okay, now here's the things I don't like about this guitar so much, but to be honest, I think the first one, which is the top end, my impression when I first got this, I've had it for almost a year now, was that the top strings were a little bit thin. And I put that down to this guitar being laminated back and sides, not the full timber. And sometimes I think that maybe that means that this kind of is a bit thinner. And I also describe sometimes when you go to this big depth on the body, it's a bit like when you go to like a double bass, right? It's all designed to produce the bottom end, and you start to lose the punch and the mid-range of the top strings. And that could be the other reason why my critique of this guitar was it was a bit thin. But now what's been happening, just in the same way, that bottom end's been opening out. The guitar's been opening out in the top strings as well, and I really can't say they sound bad, you know? Yeah, I think they sound pretty good, and I'm using these blue picks now, and they're thicker, and you really do, if you've got a bright sounding guitar, if you go to these thicker picks, it really mellows out the top end. So I'm really enjoying playing this blue Jim Dunlop. Yeah. Really, it's a great guitar, really. Like, okay, and the price in Australia, they're around $1,000. You can get them for $800. And so, you know, they're really in that lower price point. You know, they're not up there at $2,000, but they really do. They're really well made as well as beautifully finished. And for example, I didn't have to level any frets here. And okay, here's my other thing I don't like about this guitar so much is the neck. It's so reminiscent of the Blue Ridge. It's actually really quite both shallow, and it's not, would you say skinny? It's a 1/11/16, so it's not a 1 3/4 nut, which I do like, but it's got a super slim neck. And I know that's a deal breaker for a lot of you people watching. And look, the other thing about people watching this channel, you're all over 55 and you're all men. So, like me. And so you probably know your guitars and you love them and you get fussy about your neck profiles. But I personally can adjust to a thin neck. So this is exactly like the Blue Ridge that I reviewed in my first video. But you know, I would love to have a fatter neck, and I like a bit more heft in my necks as well. So that's the other thing. And I've come close to selling this guitar several times, but each time I pull it out of the case, it's sounding better and better. And if you see my other video too, I just did of the E3D, which is the Eastman. I was surprised and shocked to find that Eastman E3D is actually shallower. And so I hardly classify it as a big booming Dreadnought, and this guy will fit the bill for like a bluegrass session. So yeah, I'm going to keep it and have it as my big boomer, you know. And you can see it's got the bound body, nice finish. It's got a bit of streaking here under the sunburst, but it's also got a little bit of silking here, and it's a very fine grain piece of Sitka. It's nice. It's got the bone saddle, and the other thing, if you watch my other videos, okay, the saddle has come down. It's not too bad, but it's not that high. But I've got it playing beautifully. So, you know, that's possibly my issue here, that I haven't kept the guitar dry enough. I don't know. I've also upgraded these pins. So I've got the ebony pins here, which I think just tends to mellow the sound a tiny bit. It's got a bone nut. And look, one thing I would critique about Tasman guitars generally, and I actually wrote them an email, there's a 300 series, and it's got a solid mahogany or sapelli back. It doesn't have solid sides, it's got laminate. And they say they've got an ebony bridge plate. So I haven't ever played one of those, but I'd love to try them. Because judging by this guitar, they'd probably be great. But what's the deal breaker for me is they all have this pickup cut at the top here. And the 200 series, there's a couple in this line that have this this sound hole pickup, and that's what I like. I just don't like the ones which is cut away. And all of the 300 series have the pickup here, which is, I think, is a real shame. So my request to Tasman is, could you please offer them all with the soundhole pickup or without pickups and without the cut here? And I'd probably look around, and I'd love you to do a wider neck as well. But apart from that, they really are great. I think they're good quality and they're really well finished. So like just the binding, the whole fit and finish is very nice. It's got a satin mahogany neck, which is really nice, nicely finished, although too skinny. And also the frets were really finished, as I say. I didn't have to level any, and just the edging here is very smooth. So I think the finish and the attention to detail is really, really good. So look, so that's the Tasman TA200D-E, Australian guitar company getting these things made in a Chinese factory somewhere, and very nice. Thank you for watching. Okay, just by way of comparison, because you know, the main thing I'm trying to convey with this review is that bottom end, that guitar's producing that big body. Look, this is a new guitar I've got. It's a beautiful Eastman, and it's a 308, so it's a small body. I think it's really like an OM, but with the cutaway.